will capping compensation put European companies at a disadvantage to their global counterparts? What happens, and does it have an impact on the markets in the U.S.? Tom Curran is partner and securities lawyer at Peck, R. and Abramson. He thinks capping pay is absurd and wildly anti-competitive. Andrew Stoltmann is also a securities lawyer with his own firm. He says it's a great idea, and we should do it here in the United States. Good to talk with you, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Tom, why not rein in compensation for executives? We know that these numbers are outsized pay. A lot of people talk about them, attack the banking sector because of it. Why are you against this?
Well, it's not a question of whether the pay is outside, particularly as compared to mine, but the question is whether they are delivering value to the companies. And the best and the brightest do deliver value. They deliver value to the shareholders ultimately. And I think ultimately what you're going to see is a talent drain. I think Switzerland, which benefits from companies moving there, are going to see people moving elsewhere. And I think you're ultimately going to see the shareholders hurt. But the biggest thing is, how is this going to be implemented? Are we going to have some official office of envy, or what? How do you govern a corporation through populism? It doesn't work. What works is by bringing in value and measuring it that way and compensating people who do.
Great analysis there. I want to mention the interview I did on Friday. On Friday, I talked with the CEO of Barclays, Anthony Jenkins. He's confident this actually will not be an issue at all. Listen to what he said. This is going to be a major problem for all of the banks, by the way. If the European regulators are saying the European banks cannot pay their people more than this, they're going to all go to J.P. Morgan.
Well, I think we've got to
They're going to go to Citi.
I think, Maria, we've got to see exactly what the regulation is before we conclude that we can't pay people. My view is we will be able to pay people competitively in this marketplace, notwithstanding the regulation.
But even while he's sure of that, these proposals keep flying. Andrew, what's your take?
Well, I think it's a commonsensical idea. I think it's a wonderful idea. And we've been hearing the doom and gloom about all these executives going to other companies outside of the area where these sorts of laws are passed. But I don't think that's going to happen. More importantly, all we're saying is that the shareholders, the one who's owned the company, that they should have the ultimate say in how much the executives get paid. That's not a radical idea. That's a commonsensical idea. And I don't think anyone outside of Wall Street or corporate USA would say that's not a great idea.
Well, I'll tell you exactly
Andrew.
who hates it most. So the pension fund managers who this proposal evidently says you have to vote on this, they don't want to vote on this. They want somebody who's delivering value for them and their investments, and they don't want to be in the position of saying, yes, compensate this guy appropriately and competitively, because then the demagogues are going to make a big deal out of, oh, look at this outsized pay,
that's garbage.
as opposed to producing
garbage.
results.
That's garbage. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, because if there is quality performance, nobody has a problem paying for that. The executive compensation will be approved. The only problem that most of us have is when somebody doesn't have their performance and they're getting paid for it.
That's not what the proposal shows. That's not what the proposal shows. The proposal is that they will only be able to pay a bonus twice what your annual salary makes. And we all know that the bonus is how these guys get paid. So if one of these guys is making $100,000 as a salary for an annual salary, they're only going to be able to make $200,000 as a bonus, which in some cases is going to be much lower than they would have gotten. But let me ask you this,
Andrew. Or you'll go to jail, Maria. Let's criminalize
how about this?
Let's criminalize it.
How about if the government told you how much money you could take from a case that you won? I mean, what about your business?
This?
Would you like it if the government said to you, look, yeah, you're a lawyer and you're defending these people and you won, but when you win a case, you can't have more than XYZ in terms of what you're going to take out of this case?
And who sets that value?
It's
what official is charged
if I can answer,
Tom,
if I can answer.
Go ahead, Andrew. What about that?
Sure.
I mean, if we're going to start regulating what the banks are going to pay its employees, why don't we just tell everybody what they could pay? Maybe Julia Roberts shouldn't be getting $20 million and moving, right? Maybe somebody else shouldn't be getting millions for being the top basketball player. I mean, when does it stop?
I'll tell you, it's real simple, Maria. Once you almost melt down the global worldwide economy like bankers did and brokerage firms and banks did in 2008, you have forfeited your right. You have forfeited your right to complain about pay. That's it, Maria. That's the distinction. That's the distinction.
Wait a second. You are not including the government officials who are supposed to be overseeing the financial services industry, and they fell asleep at the wheel.
Does this include Barney Frank for his lecture series?
Maria,
please.
There's plenty of blame to go around. But remember, Maria, I didn't take, or Shaquille O'Neal didn't take $800 billion of taxpayers' money because of bad conduct he engaged in. The banks did. And now this is what they have to put up with because of their bad conduct. Sorry.
Well, wait a minute. This goes across the board. This isn't a finding of anybody at fault.
What?
There's not any finding here of anybody being at fault. This is across the board. This is saying, you know, this happened, and maybe these people were responsible, but now we're going to apply it all across the board. And oh, by the way, we can call you a criminal now. And this is going to be
business as usual. Nothing's changed, Tom.
In some office
Nothing's changed.
There's no way to say, how are they going to reach these valuations?
America.
It's absurd.
Trust them. Trust corporate America. They'll take good care of what they have to take care of. We know that's absolute BS.
So you don't mind. You don't mind if this goes into other sectors then. You don't mind if other sectors are also being told what they can pay employees. You're good with that.
If other sectors did what the banks did, then I have no problem with it, Maria.
How about Congress? Does it apply to Congress too, or are they exempt?
How about if Congress, if there's a major failure on Congress's watch, should they be facing some consequences?
Oh, they exempt themselves from consequences all the time, though, Maria. You know that.
Maria, plenty of blame to go around, and I'll concede that point to you. The only problem is the biggest problematic conduct was by the banks, not by the regulators.
But this doesn't apply just to banks,
not some of the tangential parties.
This doesn't apply just to banks. This applies to companies across the board.
I don't know. I'm going back and forth here. I mean, for an investor, if an investor bets all their money on a stock and then the stock goes to nothing, who's going to tell the investor what to do with his money next time?
Well, maybe the investors should grow up and do that themselves.
It's just not analogous. It's not the same situation.
Of course
We're not talking about
because the financial services sector was so involved in taking the economy to its knees. Well,
that's right, Maria.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry,
then how
but
come there's no prosecutions? How come there's no prosecutions? How come nobody went to jail?
Blame the Department of Justice. But you take a look at Anton Valukas' bankruptcy report. The question is, how come some of the senior Lehman executives didn't go to prison? I don't know. The Department of Justice has been unwilling to bring those
charges. Are we actually in that level of demagoguery? We're throw them in jail now? Can we take a deep breath and relax?
We got to run, you guys. Thank you so much. Great conversation. Very rich topic. Want to come back to it. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.